So we received a gift, a mystery gift.
A mystery gift.
And I have no idea who it's from because
it's from a business, it looks like.
It's from a business. And I don't know if he wants the business out there, whoever this mystery man was. But I wanted Joe to be here. Unfortunately, Joe couldn't make it today. He had a last-minute schedule change at his job, and I don't have any other available days. He's actually literally off the 2 days I'm working.
That's how it goes.
But I figured I'd open it on air because it came to the office, NRR World headquarters, offices of Skullface, Joe in Pinkerton.
Nice.
So I'm going to open it up.
See, I would have cut the side tape. That's how I roll.
So this was something gifted to me. A Baby Yoda ornament.
Nice.
The keepsake. Oh, this is a funny little story. So this is from JG. Thank you, buddy.
That's going to bother me, so I'm going to put it over here in the box. Sorry.
So my daughter, as you can relate, is heavily into anime. She watches the series. She watches the shows. She watches the movies. She watches... Now, all of her drawings are anime-inspired, obviously.
Sure.
And, so she was looking at our ornaments, and she was like, what is keepsake? Keepsake.
Okay. Is that like Make toys?
Well, I was like, my dear, it's keepsake, not keepsake.
I make a lot of mistakes, Bobby, but I'm always willing to own up to my mistake.
I hear you. Oh, this looks like little... Oh, no. Okay, I know what that is.
Is that bits off a Gambit statue?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So speaking of which, I still haven't got my return notice of that, like that it's headed back to me.
So you did ship it.
I did ship it. It did arrive.
And are they supposed to just replace the whole thing?
They're
Is
supposed
that
to
the plan?
replace the whole thing, so to speak. But I haven't got a fucking thing. I will tell you. So this past weekend, I went to IKEA.
Bless up.
Yeah. And I went there looking for two things.
Okay.
I went there looking for two Billy height extensions, is what they're called, but commonly referred to as toppers. Or
Gotcha.
Or as in Mary Poppins, toppings.
Toppings.
And I want them for
Was
those
that
two.
for there? Okay.
Yeah. And then I was like, and you know what? If I'm there and they have a D12, I'll go ahead and get one because eventually I want one to go where that light stand is.
Bobby, I think you should just keep a DTOF on ice. Like, you should literally always... it's probably a good strategy for any collector. I mean, $60, drop in the hat.
Yeah.
That's 3 Marvel Legends.
Yeah.
Just tuck it away because
Yeah.
you never know. It's also, we talked about gift giving at one point. It's always nice to have somebody comes to your house. I got you a display case.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to get this in your Geo Metro, but...
So I went there. They did not have any toppers.
Any toppings?
Or toppings.
Because the restaurant's still closed, right?
It was still closed. But this is the Baltimore one that we've been going to because my wife prefers...
White Marsh?
Yeah. Because my wife prefers the drive over $4.95. She prefers $6.95.
I could see that.
And I prefer $6.95 over $4.95 also. And even though there's only like an 8-minute difference time-wise...
It seems
so much further away, the Baltimore one.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think, yeah, it does. That's a... Kind of getting in the weeds here, but... That IKEA at White Marsh, I think I mentioned before, is laid out very odd compared to every other IKEA I've ever been to.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, it seems like most IKEAs they've built the building.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like that they went in there and
agree.
made it work with what the structure was. But I'm sorry,
No.
continue.
So I'll just go ahead into my nerd week this week because of
Fantastic.
So I had so we went there. I wanted 2 toppers. I wanted one Norfly light. Mm-hmm. I wanted, and then if I was there and they had a D12, I figured I'd get one more and a set of dioders to go with it.
Okay.
And then I should be theoretically, that should be all of the furniture. That should be it. That should officially be it. So I get there. The only thing they have is one Norfly and a D12.
So you say, fill our audience in. The Norfly,
The Norfly
is
is the
exactly
light
what?
strips I've been using for the billies.
And you say one, it is in one light strip because they're sold individually. Correct.
Correct.
They look like $1 million. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes,
but
they work well.
It's a how much is retail on one of those units?
So I think it's I can't remember exactly. It's between $26 and $29 for that size. Now I use two different sizes because of the two different size billies. But for that size, it's between $26 and $29. I have a lot of money invested in the lights now. But I should be done. I should have all of the hardware, as it were. But they didn't have the toppers. They didn't have the dioders. I got the DTOF. I also had a billy that was damaged that was laying.
I remember.
So I took that back, and they've changed their return policy since COVID.
Uh-oh.
So you need a receipt.
Okay.
Guess what I didn't have? So we got to cooking on how we were going to fix this because I was leaving that motherfucker there. I was not taking it home with me.
So they wouldn't take it at all.
That was the initial story.
I thought they did something like they could.
So if you used your Home Depot card,
Home Depot,
I'm sorry, your IKEA home. It's like your IKEA Home Shoppers card. It's like
their club.
Yes,
their loyalty.
Yes,
if you use phone number when you
scanned that, then they can look it up. But they couldn't do that either. So she was like, "Do you want to talk to a manager?" And I was like, "I do." And I was like, "I'm sorry to bother you, but like I'm not going home with this."
Was it just to fill me in? What exactly was broken on the billing?
So we just kind of like everything. The last time we went, everything said it was sold out. So we were like, well, let's just look in the warehouse and see. And then they had DTOFs in the warehouse. They had billies in the warehouse. So we were so excited that we just like boom, boom, boom. And what we didn't realize is one obviously had forklift damage to it.
Okay.
And when we got it home, before I even opened the box, you could see in the box it was ripped in the halfway point. I just peeled it back a little bit, and there, one side
So
of
it was
completely fucked.
Cosmetic, but repairable damage.
Correct. It was structural.
Oh, it was structural.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, man, what the fuck? So she goes to get the manager. She's like, look, if you call this number, they might be able to look it up on your card. So I'm on hold. There's a line forming, but sorry, I stood in line too.
Sure,
it's my turn. The manager comes up and she walks up to me and she's like, we're going to take it back for store credit. I was like, no problem. And she was like, because she's like, I've worked here for 20 years. I know a forklift incident when I see one. And I told the manager that it was obviously a forklift incident.
Right.
So I appreciate her. Returned it. Thank God. Then when they didn't have it, they said they didn't have any DTOFs. I got a DTOF. It's fucked. COVID has fucked this thing.
Right.
6 ways to Friday. So I ended up getting just those two things. So then I got home, and like, here's the thing. This sounds very bougie of me, but like, and I'm usually pretty, with stuff like this, like I'm usually pretty frugal, but like, we left the house at like 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
We got there at 9 a.m. We got home at 12:30 p.m. Plus spent money, plus had to deal with customers. Like, so I get back and I'm like, I'm just going to check on eBay. They had two toppers on eBay. They were expensive. It cost me $200, basically $100 a topper. And I was like, but you know what? It's worth it to me.
Just to be done with it.
Just to be done with it and not to take 6 hours out of my fucking day.
Exactly.
And like I'm paying for the time. And then I looked it up on IKEA, which you couldn't order it from their website either.
Right.
And like it would have been 30 plus 30 is 60. And it was a little bit more. So let's say 70. And then shipping was like 80.
So you're really...
So I was going to pay it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was negligible. So like,
Yeah.
I just bought it. I bought the dioders too. And I am done. Everything
That's
structurally should be done.
Kelly has been looking for... She designed a Besta set, the big one. She wants to redo our living room with a big Besta cabinet and up the wall hanging. Nothing to be found anywhere.
Yeah, it's rough out there.
She checks their website like regularly. We haven't talked about eBay. I might mention that to her to look. You
got to pay for it.
But yeah, I think what she needs is like very specific, like this bracket and this hinge, and so it might not be as easy as just buying it off of eBay.
Yeah. So I think I'm done. I've also like so we came back and then I put together a DTOF that I hadn't put together yet because I was able to pretty much finish the Magic case building So it's not quite done yet. When it is, there'll be a video. But like, so I got to move the Soundwave statue down. I got to move the other shit. So I made room, and then I was able to put this one DTOF in my office where I wanted to go, and ran the wires through that and the other one, and then did the remote bit. So all that's hooked up. I installed the Norfly down here, and then all I have left to do is build this other DTOF and put it right there and run a wire or run an extension cord back to that outlet.
How fast can you build a DTOF by yourself now?
So it's funny. I'm no Joe KW, but
well, he can get inside of it though. That's the trick.
Yeah. But the other thing is I don't have a good thing because I was on the one that I put together the other day. I was installing lights in it at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, that is smart business.
Yeah, because you don't have to deal with the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is nice. And then so I worked on that. That's done. I got one more detail to build, and then that'll be done. And then I gotta wait for this IKEA shit to show up. I'll tell you, I'm excited. I have for those listening, I have this the space where I used to review. I have replaced with display space, and I've been contemplating on what to do with it. Right, and so I got to thinking, and I was like, well, you know, like I could get more DC stuff, but I'm kind of satisfied with the DC stuff, you know, and like there's a little bit of room for expansion. And now I have empty DTOS for 1/6 stuff or statue, even like the Supergirl down there, and you know, like so I was like, I don't know if I need it, and I don't really feel the urge to get any more Marvel stuff. So I was just sitting here thinking about it, and I was looking at the shelves, and I saw those apes that are over there, and I was like, why don't I just do that? Like little random collections in each shelf for all of it, in different configurations. So I made a little chart.
Okay.
And I'm excited about it, but let me see if I can find it. Okay, so I want to have like one shelf for the Watchmen, one shelf for Turtles, which you can kind of see is already happening. One shelf for Apes. I'm going to move my Nintendo shelf over there. I'm going to move my 300 over there. I'm going to move probably my Street Fighter over there.
Are you done with Street Fighter? I mean, is there anything else you want? Because you're at capacity.
Not that they've created, and I can tighten her up a little.
I didn't know. Like, did they not show E-Hon? No, that was Storm.
No, that was Storm. And I tell you what,
that'd be a nice looking unit even with those because he's so big.
While I think that Storm's units look better overall, I'm 100% happy with the direction I went.
Oh, sure. I am. I don't blame you at all for that.
Just because my Storm shit is falling apart.
It is. I had a conversation recently online with somebody who was, I think it was in a Mythic group. They were talking about all the reuse were like, they had some crazy sales, like $20-$30 a piece for some of those, that were $80 figures. And somebody was like, these I've heard these fall apart.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I had 3 of that Ryu at one point in time, and every time I touched it, something would fall off. It was ridiculous.
When I just did that, I got that new Scorpion, and I just brought in the other Scorpion just to do a size comparison, and or not even a size comparison, just a comparison side by side rather. And just moving that Scorpion's arms into like this down by his side, so you could just get a full frontal, as it were, of both,
so to speak.
Correct. I broke his arm.
Broke it.
The ball peg, the socket that the ball peg receives, broken. And I have a new Cybot. It's broken in the exact same spot.
I'm wondering if that just the material they use is deteriorating.
Yeah, it's brittle.
That's tragic.
So like, if I can avoid Storm collectibles at this point, I'm going to avoid them.
Right.
I'm obviously I could avoid their Mortal Kombat stuff and go McFarlane, but to me I can't. That's not really an option. That shit looks so terrible.
And it's not what you want. It's like modern.
Right.
Modern Mortal Kombat.
So I got a little bit of extra room. I can squeeze stuff in. Like, they're in pretty dramatic poses and stuff, and I can tighten up a little bit. But they haven't announced anything, in forever.
Oh yeah.
So like they might be done. So I'm going to move that over there. I'm going to have a Mortal Kombat spillover over there. So if it doesn't fit on that shelf, it'll go over there. I'm going to have, and then here's where I get a little bit excited. I'm going to have a He-Man spillover because I'm just going to use 2 He-Man shelves out there, and that's it. I'm going to have a Spawn shelf.
Okay.
A 40K little shelf, which is right there, which is done pretty much. I might get a riser to lift up one of the tanks, but that's it. Books along the bottom, pretty much as it is. And then kind of what I'm most excited about for these is I have one empty space, which I'm not sure what I'm going to do with yet. I'm going to do a horror shelf.
Okay.
And Alien Predator shelf.
Nice.
Yeah, and just like because I like that stuff, but I don't like worship it.
Right,
I don't
right.
like it doesn't make or break my day. But like having one little shelf, I could be like, yeah, those fucking Aliens and Predators are pretty fucking cool. And look, Freddy Krueger's still cutting bitches up while they sleep, and like, and like I'll feel like I've checked a whole lot of boxes, and even like this little Billy, which I don't have all my ideas for yet. Like I have this Smeagol out there. I just put Smeagol on the top. Lord of the Rings, check.
There you go.
So I'm excited. I'm excited about the prospect of something new. It's also humble. It's small. It's contained. You're operating in a specific given space.
Yeah.
And it's like a new challenge in a way. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, it's more curating a collection than
yes.
Look at all the stuff I have.
Correct.
Shelves.
Which I'm pretty excited about. And then let's see what else I did. I watched Dark Knight with the family.
Nice.
Because Selena wanted to watch this movie, so now we're on the second one.
I saw it on the staircase, and as soon as something happened.
Yeah. And Selena loved it. She loved it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
And Jano, this is her second time seeing it, and it was interesting to listen to her opinion on it because she's like, I'm picking up so much more the second time. She was like, all of the intricacies between the politics.
You should wait for the 30th time. You know my favorite line from that movie?
Which one?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But that movie still, I'm gonna say it's the best comic book movie ever made.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong at all. And there's so much like I don't know if you knew this or not, but when the Joker and the goons walk into the party, nobody in the room had seen him.
It was the first time.
So that was real shock on their faces. That is so cool when you hear things like that.
And I love what he says when the doors open and he like pushes the one cop into the room and fires the shotgun and he's like, "We made it."
Yeah.
I know you were worried.
And he slicks his hair back.
Hello, beautiful.
Yeah, when she shows up.
He tucks his...
Yeah, like putting on his best face.
And I want to say, have you ever seen A Beautiful Woman?
Yeah.
I wonder how many people have watched those movies and don't realize that's a different actress. Because they do favor. And if you're not really paying a bunch of attention, you might not notice.
The new Rachel has a wider face.
She does.
Sure.
She's definitely a Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first one,
Katie Holmes.
Yeah, she she fucked that relationship up, pretty good. Like, 'cause
I don't know that story.
So like one of the things that she did, it was a number of things, and my memory's fuzzy on it now. But like one of the things that she did was she went on a press run for it, like as you do. Right?
Oh, well, hang on. Who are we talking about?
Kate Moss.
Katie Holmes.
Katie Holmes
from Batman Beyond.
That's it begins.
Yes, not Beyond. That's in the future.
That's in the future.
Yes.
She went on a press run for it, and like somehow, like I think it was like 90% of the interviews that she did, she turned it into a conversation about her marrying Tom Cruise, and like didn't talk about the movie really at all.
It's probably mostly Tom Cruise, from what I understand.
Could very well be. And the studio was irritated.
Okay.
And Tom Cruise is a Paramount guy, pretty much.
Yeah.
And this is Warner Brothers, obviously.
Right.
And so, all that kind of stuff is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know if I watched or did a whole lot else. I've just been constantly working on this stuff. I did what else? I know there was one other thing that I did. I can't. I finished Doomsday Clock.
Okay.
I enjoyed it, but I will say that like the current DC writing, and it might be me, it might be a Bobby issue and not necessarily a comic book issue, but like a lot of the current DC writing post Final Crisis,
Post Malone,
I really enjoy up until a certain point, and then at a certain point, it gets super complicated to me, and I lose interest. I start like scanning bubbles instead of actually reading them,
right?
And I just it starts getting too technical, too sciencey, too like, and I just give up, kind of, and like just
Right.
go through the motion.
Or you've read the book and you're like, what the fuck was that about? I don't know.
Correct. I'm like, what point did this change? Like the first half of it like is in these two sections, right? Part 1 and part 2. And part 1 is kind of a very intimate story with the mime and the marionette, which I've talked about here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's fucking great, and these characters are great, and their backstory is great, and all this stuff. And then when you get into the superhero world of it, there's parts of that are great. Rorschach and Batman's dynamic is great, and you know, the way Superman and Manhattan, like Manhattan keeps having this vision of Superman, and then he has no vision at all, and he's like, so I don't know if that means the end of me or the end of everything.
Yeah.
And like so, like there's lots of little beats, but when they get into explaining how it actually works, that these two universes have collided, it's like sometimes, like, so the devil is in the details, but sometimes I don't need everything broken down formulaically, like X equals Y over triangle squared.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes it's just comic book it for me so we can get to the fun,
Right.
you know. So I enjoyed it, but it was a little convoluted. So I'm moving on now to Green Lantern Earth 1, which I have always wanted to read, you know, the Earth 1 books. Have you read any of those?
I don't believe so. I've only read Green Lanterns that you have literally handed me and told me I needed to read.
Well, I think that was the one, the Secret Origins.
Well, it was the one where he was he was like a fighter pilot.
Yeah, it's like his origin story.
Okay, yeah.
But like it's the Earth 1 books are all like real worldy.
Okay.
So like
Is that an alternate universe of DC?
Yes,
one of dozens?
Yes. So it's like what it would be like if they lived in a real world, you know. And there's a Wonder Woman one, 2 Batman ones, 2 Superman ones, I think. They're great. And they're self-contained and you know, but I've always been curious about the Green Lantern one. I just haven't had a chance. So that's next on my list. I'm also thinking, like, I've got a lot of Hot Toys recently that I haven't really noticed. Like, not that I haven't noticed them here. It's just like I haven't really taken a minute to be like, damn, you got a lot in a short time span here. You went months and months and months with nothing, and then you got 3 back to back, and you didn't even realize.
I've got one will be here tomorrow.
Which one?
Cody. Which will be my first armored Hot Toys Star Wars figure.
Yeah.
I don't have. I meant to order the Remnant Trooper, and he's like sold out everywhere in like $300 now.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
just how everything is now.
I feel like another one's coming. All right,
buy one get one free.
Yeah. So I got Wasp, Mole, and
I'm sorry, Wasp from
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Why?
Because I just wanted to get the core characters, and I'm not.
I didn't know she was a core character.
Yep. So I've got that mapped out too. I got that space mapped out. I'm missing a certain number of units, and when that's done, that's done. Wasp, Maul, and maybe another Star Wars one.
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
You know, and like I just got them back to back. Like, and I don't know if I really took the time to appreciate them. I think because things have just been moving fast here recently for me.
Yep.
So I'm hoping to. But like, you know, it's nice having like, because the basement's been pretty much under construction because the fucking Maja case, you know, is like it's an. Let me tell you something. The amount of time I'm going to have a discussion here about the Maja case very soon. Overall, I'm happy with it, but it's not quite done yet. Once it's done, I'll get into it. But you spend so much time waiting for it, and then it comes, so to speak, and then you have the amount of time that it takes to actually get it sorted, like assembled, in position, secured. It's a whole other ordeal that I hadn't given enough respect to.
Right. Well, because you and Joe had put together that like single unit that one time, right?
Yes, and then we put together 2, I think, and then we put together another single unit on another day, the little small one. And then because I was getting so fucking frustrated with just the amount of time, Laura actually had him come over one day when I wasn't even here.
Yeah,
and fucking
Joe was at my house and he left to come. He's like, I got to go to Bobby's and Laura wants me to get this done for her.
You know, which I never asked her to do, and I had no expectations of it. You know, she's trying to make me happy, which I mean,
that's
God,
awesome.
God bless her. And then but anyway, like the basement hasn't felt like it's mine. Like it's been like occupied. It's like occupied basement, and so like having it back together, you know, and being able to just sit and enjoy it has been nice again. I'm anxious to like kind of getting back to basics, you know, a couple $100 in figures, diorama work, just back to the norm, and less hiccups in the road. Had some had some pretty substantial floors to mop here recently.
Okay.
In a row,
Yeah.
which has been interesting. We did break the streak yesterday, but we got close. We got very close to not. Somebody else ended up having to mop it.
Oh boy.
But yeah. So been a lot going on at work. Been a lot going. I feel like everything is moving rapidly. Trying to get Christmas gifts and shit. Laura's birthday's this weekend. My birthday's coming up. Like it's just.
I like that noise.
Like that. Here's another thing I wanted to talk about is because I would imagine, having come from Arkansas, somewhere in the South, that you've had to break some holiday traditions in the last couple years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like, how have the kids adjusted to that?
I mean, the biggest one would be we always would go, and so obviously getting married and merging families, well, this is what we did. This is what we did. You have to have some compromises and things.
Right.
Kelly's family living in Georgia when we were living in Alabama always kind of made it a little easier. Her parents, when they were around in our lives, would come like a weekend before or something.
Right.
So normally we'd go to my parents' house for Christmas Eve, have, kind of an appetizer kind of dinner, and then we'd open gifts. Mostly the kids would open gifts, and,
right.
we exchange pleasantries with my parents or whatever, and, maybe get something, maybe not, no big deal. And then that afternoon, we'd go back to my parents for Christmas dinner, and my aunt and uncles would come, and it was a big deal. Obviously, all that's out the window now. So
right.
I don't think it was a huge change for them because, I don't know. I think probably the first year it was kind of rough, but, we tried to make it as seamless as possible. And, they're just a call away or a video chat away now, so it's not. Right. What about is anything changing this year? Is that what you're getting to?
Yeah, so like so typically our Christmas has been like a 3-day event. Mm-hmm. On the 23rd, Laura's sister
Festivus.
Yes,
for the rest of us.
Yes, Festivus for the
rest. I think this year the passing of Jerry Stiller and the season that we've created here, I think Festivus is all the more important.
That's fair.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
So the 23rd, Laura's sister would come up or down rather from New York, and we would go out and look at Christmas lights.
Okay.
With the kids, we drive around and we'd thumbs up and thumbs down. So like yeah. And then thumbs in the middle. We allow thumbs in the middle. So like we just judge people's Christmas lights for what I mean, for like but like people are laughing and
you should walk up to their door and just
and like some kids would be like that one's great and we'd be like that's just trash, and then sometimes we'd find one and be like oh sharp, classy, and kids like it's no fun.
It's boring.
So like so that was that. Then we come back, have pizza, and then her sister Emily would sleep here, and then usually with the kids. And then the next day was Christmas Eve, all cooking pretty much all day, preparing for people to come over. Then we had Christmas Eve night, which was like the big party. And then Christmas was just a family day, food, and, generally. And this year, she is spending Christmas Eve with her boyfriend's family.
Okay.
Which, I mean, these things happen, right? And the family dynamics have to change and all of those things. But when my kids found out, like, they were fucking bummed.
Yeah.
And like seeing it on their face, I was like, I felt bad, but like, it's like, people grow and changes like happen and lives go different directions. And
that's right.
And I think like as you get older, I think that you go through this phase where it gets more different. Mm-hmm. And then at a certain point, it falls into this is what it's going to be for the rest now. Whatever this is the future.
Yeah.
But, I think they could change again. Like, my wife used to go to her grandparents on her father's side for Christmas Eve, and then to her grandparents on her mother's side for Christmas Day. But then her grandfather died, and her grandmother kind of lost her marbles a bit after that. So they stopped going. She wasn't even able to take care of a home, really. So like they stopped going there on Christmas Eve, and then we started coming to my house on Christmas Eve, and then that changed that, and then, beefs between me and my wife. I'm not going fucking anywhere on Christmas Day. I'm certainly not fucking spending it, here.
Sure.
So then that changed. And so, you know what I mean? Like, and then I would imagine at a certain point, you know, my kids are going to, you know, have families of their own, and then it'll change again.
Yeah.
You know, and probably in some capacity. I'll tell you, I don't plan on going fucking anywhere. But you know, just changes. You need that? Anyway, that's about it. That's about it for me for this week. What about you?
So we turned off the orders for our website December 1st. We had somebody sneak through, and it's been bothering us. So yesterday I got an order for just a 1-floor panel, which on the surface is nothing difficult to make, and I don't mind selling it, but we were very perplexed on how this possibly happened, because Kelly had turned everything off. So what we realized is, and I got to thinking about it, I was like, so we have if you cart something and leave it, you get an email. Hey, you left something in your cart. Cookies. So it leaves cookies when you do something like that. So the best we can figure is this person had put this in their cart, gotten that email, gone back to the email yesterday, and it let them buy it from the site. So Kelly went in today and adjusted some stuff, but it was just like,
it's impressive that she's learned how to do all that.
Yeah, she spends a lot of time. She's actually updated it even this morning. Again, she's gotten really good at that. She's I'm very. She's my wife, and I love her to pieces. But I'm very glad that I have someone that's tech savvy and willing to learn how to do things as she does.
Yeah.
On that same note, having some issues with the laser cutter.
Oh no.
Yeah, which she spent probably 8 hours on it yesterday, trying to get some stuff figured out. Mason's been working with her on it because I kind of tasked him to learn the laser. I think we figured out what it is, so she ordered some parts. These lasers, that the one I got is I'm in a Facebook group. It's called a Made in China laser. It's not really a brand. You know, it's a red and black Chinese laser is what they're called.
Uh-huh.
So there's not really an instruction manual that comes with it. A lot of it you got to kind of figure out on your own. And I think
sounds like a recipe for disaster for me.
Well, it would be for you, but I'll be honest. You can buy a glow forge, for example, and a glow forge is their commercials. Bobby, it's the woman's in the kitchen with her apron on, and she's making these doilies on her laser cutter right there on the kitchen counter. You know, we're not worried about the fumes spewing out into the home. It was a big Kickstarter thing years ago, and they're very expensive, but they're very plug and play. Uh-huh. You sit it down and go. Knowing that the routers machines that we have, the CNCs had to be built from scratch, and you know, we learned the ins and outs of all that, we were a little bit more comfortable with the tweaking you would need. But you know, this thing worked. It worked pretty well out of the box. I mean, we adjusted a couple things based on what we knew how to do, and you know, successfully cut some stuff. And but I think I think Kelly figured out the issue. And hopefully we'll have it up and running tomorrow. Because I do have some pieces that I'm using that I need to cut to finish up the last of the orders for the end of the run.
That's a little stressful.
It's been a little stressful, to say the least. But hopefully we'll get it straightened out. Haven't played the VR headset a ton. Kelly and I did play a game. I think it's called Sunrise, Arizona is the name of it. You're in a zombie scenario.
Okay.
You've got guns and there's puzzles to solve, and we can play it together. Okay. So we play at the same time, so it's pretty cool. And you know, you see each other in the game and dance and do dumb shit. And the motion bothers both of us, having to, you know, walk around. But most of it, I think I mentioned, you kind of like throw an arrow. Like, I'm going to throw an arrow over there, and I bounced over there. And it's cool. I can only do it for about 2 hours, and then I'm just She overdid it the other day.
Oh yeah,
it was like
made herself a little ill.
She went to bed. Yeah. She came upstairs and was like, oh no.
God,
I guess it'd be like riding a roller coaster for like 12 hours or something. But
I'm looking forward to giving it a shot.
Yeah,
for
sure.
I had a somebody he knows who he is hit me up and was like, "So you tried it yet?" Like he's very excited about it. And he
I didn't think about it. I could have brought it over here because that's the cool thing about it.
Oh, is it that mobile?
Well, I mean, it's a headset and 2 controllers. You draw in the headset. You draw this is the box I'm going to stay in.
Right.
Or if
I think that's what he asked me. He's like, "Have you drawn your space yet?
Drawn your Guardians?"
I was like, "Look, let me give you an idea of the time frame I'm working with here.
Right.
I hope to do it in the next 6 to 8 months."
I didn't even think about it. I want to. They make some nice like hard shell carrying cases. I need to get one of those for it because if the world ever gets back to normal and I have a road job again, I wouldn't mind taking it and drawing out my line in the Holiday Inn and going to town there.
Right.
But, like there's 3 chapters of the Vader game that I haven't touched yet. I really want to wait till I have time to do it. I really want to get through this. These orders pushed out and then take some time to enjoy that.
Well, I don't blame you for that. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out. So this guy's been asking me for a shout out, and I'm gonna just because I remember it now, I'm gonna take the opportunity now. This dude, OB1, OB1. He's on Instagram. He does dioramas and stuff for Star Wars stuff, pretty much specifically. He's got some pretty good.
Let's see.
Let me see here. He's got some pretty good layouts and stuff. I don't know if this is one of the ones that I prefer or not, but like he's a kid.
And he's listening to this show?
I don't know. Well, he's not a child.
Oh, okay. It's a younger fellow.
Correct. But
okay, right on.
Little display stuff that he does, and ask for a shout out persistently.
Well, there you go, dude.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. You can frame it, put it on your wall. You get the tattoo of the audio on your arm.
And to be fair, keep at it because your displays are better than a lot of grown men that we know that have been at this for years.
Right. Probably myself included on many occasions.
Mine too.
The cobbler's son
Mine
has
too.
no shoes. This is something funny happened. I had taken Sunday this past week. Actually, I'd gotten up early. Kelly was up. I normally get up between 6 and 7. Kelly was out of bed when I got up. She is downstairs. I had finished some stuff. We do batches of these orders, so 10, 15 pieces at a time.
Right.
Just because otherwise it's overwhelming.
Correct.
We're like, what am I doing? So she is down there painting. I'm like, okay, well, and when she gets done with her painting, I do some assembly, and then I do like airbrush the final couple layers of paint, and then it goes out to the rack basically to be clear coated. Which the weather's been so chilly, we haven't really been because I use that it's a Minwax satin spray that we use that works great. But I was done with my work. I was like, well, I don't really want to start anything today. And I had I like putting together those little droid kits, the Bandai kits.
Yeah.
So I was like, I've got an R2D2 already. I've got the Figure Arts one, which is like the perfect, I think.
Yeah.
R2D2.
It's great. So
I'm gonna paint this. I'm gonna paint it, whatever. And I started looking through Astromechs online, and I kind of fell into a bad hole because I'm like, oh, I didn't know they made these, because I was looking for a color scheme, and I'm like, wait, that's a 6-inch shit, because I didn't want to make something that I could buy.
Right.
So I ended up ordering like 3 that I didn't even know existed. But
were they all kits or Black Series?
No, these are Black Series mostly, and I know the scale's a little different, but I'm fine with that. It's negligible. So I ended up putting together the R4 kit, and I wanted these the kit, the set I bought. It's an R2D2 and it's R4 whatever they are.
R5D4.
R5D4. They're together,
right.
So like these pieces are on the same runner. So I'm like, well, shit. If I want to paint the R2 kit, I've got to put this other one together to get everything off the runner so I can paint it. So I put it together, and I had a really good time doing that. And I have I always say it wrong. I want to say Molotov, but that's not right. It's something like that. They make chrome markers.
Okay.
So I went through all.
I've seen it.
Yeah. All the gray on that I did in chrome, and then I kind of rubbed it a little bit, and it looks
Legit?
like it's like if you probably look at your G1 Transformers, how the chrome kind of looks.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Nice.
And then I spent 2 or 3 hours with a couple different acrylic inks, burnt sienna, burnt umber, really weathering it out.
Yeah.
I'll show you a picture.
Yeah, please.
I'm not done with it. I still want to add some more to it, but I just enjoyed the hell out of that. Just there he is.
Oh yeah, there he is.
Just making him filthy and dirty.
He's inside the sand.
Oh yeah,
thing.
Yeah, he's definitely been there. I think I'm gonna just maybe some black around the edges. But I'd sat down to start on these, and Kelly comes up to me. She's like, because she had anytime she paints, we use like HVLP guns, like paint guns for automobiles,
right?
And so she gets filthy when she does. So she taking a shower. She's like, "Do you want to go with me to eat Mexican food?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." Because we never just spur of the moment.
Right.
So we went and ate Mexican and then went to...
Where'd you guys go?
There's a place we like in Eldersburg.
Uh-huh.
I don't know the name.
Gotcha.
I know where it is.
Fair enough.
Maybe El Olmeca.
But solid unit.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So we ate there, and of course, I think they're down to 25% capacity.
Right.
So, and I was like, I don't know.
How long is the wait? 6.5 hours.
Yeah. Actually, there was hardly
I know. Just like,
there was hardly anybody there, but I wonder, and I said, this may be the last time we get a chance to do this for a while.
Yeah. Dude, have you seen people calling Hogan, who I'm in support of? I think he's done a great job. They call him Lockdown Larry.
I love that he said we're talking about the governor of Maryland, who I have a feeling you will see on the national
he's
political
in the top
scene.
10 governors rated of the country.
Right. You'll see him in some political form or fashion on the national scene in 3 years.
God bless him if he does. I wouldn't if I were him. I would have had enough.
Yeah. But he said, just wear the damn mask out of frustration, and now that's like the tagline.
Yeah.
Like all the commercials are like, just wear the damn mask.
There's a footage I could get it. I could get it by the end of the show. I think I will.
Okay.
But it's a West Virginia politician, and he says at some point like, "Oh fuck it," like in this like speech.
Really?
Yeah. My buddy Charlie, who's a fucking loon, but he sent it to me. And I'm going to tell him to send it to me again. But continue.
So, we had, I was like, well, we probably, we were out of black paint, which we paint, base coat everything black.
Yeah. I mean, like you can't, I always tell my wife if she's going to like Michael's or whatever.
Get some black.
Like, yeah, just get black or white. Like I'm never going to have enough.
Right. We were down to one bottle of black, and we found that they have a new size. I think it's a 32-ounce tub. Of black apple.
Can it fuck with the white one?
The pump. It's funny. So I bought a tub of that pump black, and that shit is different.
Is it?
Even I talked to our connection at Michael's, and he said that the paint in the big tub and the pump is a different paint than what's in the little bottle.
Huh.
Because like we dilute it, and it did not dilute. It just like broke down and clogged the equipment. But they have 32 ounces. It's like, this big. We bought like 4 of them, and just some other knick-knack stuff, and went to Home Depot to look at some stuff. We have an air compressor in our garage that is very loud. If you're out there, which the laser's out there, the 3D printers are out there, if you know how loud an air compressor is when it gets on.
Yeah.
They make quiet ones now, apparently, and they also make quiet vacuums.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
But unfortunately, the capacity on them is very small.
Right.
So I think maybe a couple more years, the technology updates.
I remember being at Pizza Hut when I was a kid, and they would bring around those little. They're like not vacuums, but they're basically vacuums, like just the handheld little. And I used to think to myself, man, how cool is that thing as a kid? I said,
right.
Man, I wish I had one of those. I'd be fucking vacuuming left.
Are you talking about just the thing you?
It's like a mechanical thing, like you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It's just a roller. It's like one of those big push lawnmowers.
I used to be obsessed with it though. Like every time they bring it out, I'd be like, hold on one second. Watch this shit. Look at it go.
I remember having those when I worked in the film industry. And
correct.
We had the very colorful carpet.
Sure. I recall.
Let's see what else here. But that was fun, just to kind of go out and have a day where it's just the two of us and looking at nonsense and making fun of people, and
it's the best.
It was almost like the good old days before the dark times. I'm torn about something, and you might be able to help me with this. So they announced a Dark Knight Rises Hot Toys Batman and
some ghoulish shit going on.
Yeah, Batman and Bat Pod.
I saw somebody pointed it out to me that was a thing happening.
Yeah, and I've admired your collection, and I adore those films. Your Bane actually was in my possession for like 2 days, and I was in the position where I needed to move it. And I have the the Two-Face, I've just stored it away because I'm like, you don't just whoa, this Two-Face just randomly in my case. Because when they announced that was coming out, is that a re-release of Two-Face or was that...
That's a re-release.
So my thought process is, ooh, I wonder what else they're going to re-release.
Right.
And it never materialized. So they're doing
Some of that might be COVID-based, though.
It could be. It could be.
Because reveal-wise, it's been slow.
It has been. There hasn't been a lot. So I'm on the fence. I'm like, where am I? Because I buy shit and I don't have a plan where to put it. And like right now, I have a pile of shit by my desk that I've gotten in that I don't know what I'm going to do with.
Yeah, I do. I do think you are in need of a kind of
a plan
of coming of like a come to Jesus moment of like what it is that you want to do.
Right.
Because what you're doing is acquiring.
I am.
And we've had this kind of roundabout discussion 1,000 times, but like of being able to enjoy something.
Sure.
And you can't when it's not displayed properly, and you certainly can't when it's not displayed at all.
Right.
And I've talked to you about because I know that you have this. I'm trying to think of the right word without putting words in your mouth. But relationship with Mezco, and I don't mean that professionally. I just mean that in the same way that I have one with Vans Toys.
Sure.
That's probably the worst possible fucking
that definitely
example
is.
I could have given. But like, whatever. Like I have one with Black Series or, but I do think that sometimes the completionist avenue with you specifically isn't the right call.
Okay.
And I think that sometimes with you, and from the outside looking in, I could be 100%, I'm not walking in your shoes, but that you kind of fall into that 89 Batman armory room where, they're looking around, they're like, look at this stuff. Who is this guy?
Yeah.
And then like, he's like, library, billiard room, arsenal.
Right.
And then he's like, remember, the more they have, the less they're worth. He says that to Vicky Vale.
That's a good point.
And I've noticed that with you is that when you have something kind of small, quaint, and focused, you put a ton into it. And at a certain point, it gets beyond a span of control.
Right.
And then you just say, well, fuck it, here it is. These are the things.
It happens.
And so like I wonder sometimes like because like your like I don't care for the aesthetics of Mezco, but as objectively your Mezco collection is impressive. However, I'm like, man, I don't know if he is better for having 6 Batmans as opposed to 1. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
And
there's another one coming soon, but I think that would probably be the end of the Batmans for a while from that.
I mean, he's like the thing is like Batman makes money.
It makes money,
but Wolverine makes money. Spider-Man makes money. Like these, they're just cash cows. You can just cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah, look at Todd.
Yeah. I mean, like
Batman a week.
The problem with Todd in that and that's a whole conversation. Like the McFarlane and what he's doing in that lunatic interview that I watched with him.
Right.
Like he's going to do, in my opinion, what kind of third-party Transformers have done, where everybody gouges all of the core stuff and then doesn't have the money to invest in the obscure stuff. And then that's when it's going to get fucked up.
Right.
Because people are going to be out there with, like, and all they need is one Green Lantern to finish the set, and they can't fucking get it.
Right.
And not even, the Green Lantern's not even obscure. It's just, he's pretty much staying, like, Batman, Superman, Joker. Batman, Superman, Joker. Yeah. Like, or and to me, when I say Batman, if I say Nightwing is Batman, like,
sure.
You know what I mean?
I know what the Bat
Harley
family.
is Joker.
Yeah,
like it's all from that.
It's all Gotham.
Correct. And specifically from that plant, right? Like, it's like, the Nightwing leaf is off of the stem of Batman.
Sure.
So, like, I don't know. Like, when you changed, there's been a number of situations in my collector experience that have changed the way I do business. And your 1/6 collection, seeing it, changed the way I do business. It changed my perspective. And when you had just it was like, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Joker, Harley, Deadshot.
Yep.
And then mixed in there were like
had some of those statues,
some props.
Yeah.
But even before the statues, like you had like the like a Batman mask or something.
Yep.
You know, and I was like, fuck, this is really sharp. And then, you know, DC Films went the way that they went. It affected how you saw the properties, and then you got into Marvel heavy, and then it got so big that it just became like. And I still think now, and I don't know now, but I mean, in the last year or so, you're currently chasing how to make the larger collection look as good as the smaller collection looked.
Right.
You know, and it's tricky. You know, this shit's fucking tricky.
It really is. With the, I mean, I've just got to commit more space to stuff, is what it is.
Yeah, and I think really like because sometimes sometimes I think you do things out of necessity, as we all do. But I think that the last time I was there, it's because like it doesn't look bad the way you have it. It's just like I liked the variety when you had the Billy in between the Detolfs, and then you had the bigger figures on those, and it split it up. Sometimes like I think it was just one time that used the expression of like when he went out and bought 13,000 fucking Detolfs and set them up. He's like, oh shit, it's soulless,
right?
You know, it's too much glass, and that's something that Laura has taught me is variety being the spice of life,
right?
You know, like a Billy, a Detolf, a Calyx, a this, a that, a mix of that, you know, like just shit in different, and then even the way that it's displayed within those parameters not being identical, it makes it more interesting to look at. And it's frustrating, but the problem solving aspect of that is something I've grown to really enjoy.
Okay.
You know, like I hated this room 6 months ago. Hated it.
Really?
Like it just seemed like a mess. It didn't seem focused. And then Laura came down and like we just took shit off and put it back on until we just kept doing it until it started to feel right. And then like, you know, as soon as we like little thing like putting the books behind figures, so now it has a bit of a background and an environment to be in. And it's just like fuck, like this changes how I see this now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I definitely see. I mean, the other frustrating thing is we use the basement as such a workspace now. You know, it's our pack out room. It's our where we put shit to dry when it's been painted outside. And you know, I've got this collection of stuff that's, you know, it's there and I look at it all the time. But
I don't think you would disagree with me when I said that you've put more pride into your studio than into your display room.
I could see that, although it is a disaster on a regular basis. But yes.
Every time I come over there, I'm like amazed at like you know, like now Kelly has her own workspace. Like it started off with just you having like one desk, and then it was like one desk in a storage space, and then it was a desk, an L desk, and then there was a desk, and then now Kelly has her own desk. Like and now it's like. Now, like I walk in there, and I'm sure when you're in the middle of a fucking project, it's a different bit of business.
Sure.
But on a off day, as it were, it looks like a fucking professional work environment almost, like a shop.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? That you would come in and like, where's Kelly's?
Where's the time clock?
Where does she put it? You know what I mean? Where does she clock in?
Don't tell her to start punching in. Jesus, no. You're right. I mean, and it's out of necessity. You know, we all right, I got to build a table to put this new machine on. What am I going to do with this table? I'll move it over here, which is, you know, we were using kind of a folding card table for that, and this, that, and the third. So, getting back to the whole Batman debating whether or not I want to get that or not.
Real quick, one other thing I want to throw in there is like what I think. One thing I think that you're doing a disservice of, and not that it's too late to change. But I think that you should, at some place in your basement, and you've kind of started it, but I almost feel like there should be a display area of these dioramas, and not necessarily even incorporating the figures, just like
display art.
Yeah. You know, like I did this, and then I did this, and this is where it started, and this is where we are now, and there's like this evolution that you can see, like because it's such a big part of your life now.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's. I do have more now than I have in the past. You know,
yes.
I've got, you know,
which I was happy to see in the cases and stuff. I was happy to see that.
I keep having. I painted a bunch of floors for myself, and like, oh shit, we need two. Just take them out of the case, and I've never replaced them.
But in terms of the Batman 1/6 stuff, man, I think that I guess the reason why I got so far off topic was I think that the answer to that question lies in a couple questions before you get to that question.
Well, I mean, you know, thinking at it strategically, I suppose the way you do, I don't know where I would put it right now. You know, of course, it's a year and a half out probably. But to make plans for that, and I think a lot of the purchases I make now, it's like I want that, and I have plans to do something with it. And if I don't buy it now, especially the Mezco shit, if I don't buy that when it's available, I'm gonna pay through the nose for it. So, okay, no, I mean, definitely agree with what you're saying. It's just I need to figure out how I'm going to use the space. One of my biggest regrets is not buying more of those glass cases when they were available.
Yeah.
At the time, the money was like, oh, that's a lot. Now I look back, I'm like, oh, I should have bought everything they had.
Yeah.
But
and I mean, like,
hindsight, right?
Even your that display that you have with the Gomez skull characters, the that looks like it. Like for me, when I look at that, it's like 6 to 8 characters or something.
Yeah.
And when I look at that, the feeling I get from that in regard to your relationship, once again, not speaking professionally, but even professionally,
right?
It resonates more than all of the other Mezco figures that you have. Because it's like, this is Mezco's creation. This is some stuff that you've done. You've done stuff for Mezco. Now it's all in concert in this one case. Like, it's just like, it's like, it works on a different level than, here's the Marvel line.
A lot of people have basically pared down to just the proprietary property stuff with Mezco and aren't doing the superheroes and Marvel and, maybe some of the horror stuff and like the Popeye and that stuff. I don't know. I think about it a lot. Sometimes when you look at it too long and you think, I could buy a very nice whatever. Sometimes I move some of these pieces.
I have that thought too. But I also think to myself, like, what would I do with this space if it wasn't this?
Right. Skee ball right here.
yeah. But I probably wouldn't do shit with it.
Right.
And it would be totally discarded.
It would just be a basement.
It would just be a basement.
Yep.
One of the things that I've grown to appreciate about it kind of in its current condition is just sitting down here at the end of the day with my wife with a glass of wine and like having a conversation, and like in the midst of the conversation we'll just be like, that Hawthorne really turned out well. Or you know what I mean? And then, and then onto this, or like, like, do they make a such and such and such? I don't know. Let's look it up. And because that would look good here. It's like, instead of chasing the pieces, I'm chasing the space.
Makes sense.
And I'm enjoying it a lot more.
Yep. So, I don't know if I'll end up getting that Batman stuff or not. Part of me is like,
I mean, you're going to be able to sell it. That's the other side of that is like, there's always going to be a market for Batman.
Yeah. If you sit on it long enough, you'll definitely be able to sell it. I started watching Rebels this week, I guess. And if I'm being 100, I don't know that I've ever seen all of Rebels. I've watched at it.
Yeah.
And then people were like, "Oh, Obi-Wan's in this," so I'll go seek that episode out. But I've watched 2.5 seasons so far.
Oh, so you saw the Ahsoka Vader?
Yes, which I had seen. That's
the best episode of that fucking series.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like something I could plow through and half-ass pay attention. You know, I was there. There's Ezra gets the Sith holocron, and I believe it's the first episode of season 3 when he's just like this legit badass jumping around doing all this, and then like 3 or 4 episodes later, he's disguised as a biker scout, and just like gets owned by this
Thrawn's temple or whatever.
Yeah, but it isn't even. It's just he's owned by some Imperial dudes. I'm like, what? There's like, I don't know. Maybe there's not a lot of consistency in his power set. Maybe is a way to say that.
Yeah, I find that I find that more and more, especially in Star Wars storytelling. To be fair, but like, like the Mandalorian, I think is another example where it's like, he's on the prison ship and he's kicking ass every chance he gets, and then he faces off against the Jawas and he's not the same machine. And,
right.
What I mean? It's like, and I guess people have off days, and sometimes it's less about the consistency and more about the overall story they're trying to tell. And
right.
But and the other thing I struggle with all the time, specifically animated, because it's so much shit, is I'm like, Clone Wars, which I adore, I'll be watching it and I'll be like, did these motherfuckers forget they have the Force?
Right.
Because they could just take all these people and just throw them up against the wall and crisis averted. But then there goes your drama,
Sure.
Yeah, I get you.
But I'm enjoying it. A lot of little nods and stuff in there, and filling in some backstory. The blurgs are in there,
yes.
which I had forgotten about.
Yeah,
and those giant spiders are a big
part of it.
Yeah. So, and of course, I watched Mandalorian. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
and what else was I think I had one more thing on here. I don't know how to explain this well. This is. I am sometimes haunted by places, memories of places. I don't know if this. Do you have? And I'll give an example. And sometimes it's places that don't exist anymore, or places I know I will never go back to. And it's just that my mind wanders there. For example, when I was growing up, Madison Square Mall was the nicest two-story. It's gone now, torn down. They put a Topgolf there and a bunch of other nonsense. Mm-hmm. Back home in Alabama.
Where are you from?
In my head, I just randomly I just think about walking through there. I mean, I could right now draw the layout of this mall and tell you every spot, a store that was there at some point in time. Uh-huh. Same thing like a Kmart in middle of nowhere, Tennessee, where I used to go for my old job. Mm. I just go there in my head, and I don't know why. Does that ever happen to you? It's like places that don't exist or places you know you will never go to again?
I don't think so. I will. So the R Mall that we had at Columbia Mall growing up, was a nice mall. But there was this one stretch of it that had kind of a toy store, but it wasn't really. But they had toy shit in it.
It was an educational toy store.
No, God,
wooden toys.
No,
Melissa and Doug.
God, no. But it was kind of like a pop culture store. They had a lot of T-shirts and stuff and all that. But they also
like Suncoast Music, kind of, or
almost like Spencer's or Hot Topic or something like that of its day.
Yeah.
Where it was like bands and movies and stuff like that, T-shirts. But then in this one corner of it, they had action figure stuff. And I bought... I can't... only one thing I can tell you that I bought from there, and it was the He-Man sword that was like He-Man's side on one side and Skeletor's side on the other side. And it was two swords they kind of click together, and then you make the ultimate power sword or whatever. It's the only thing I remember getting from there, but I remember getting it. And that stretch of mall had a McCrory's or whatever. It was it was like odds and ends, I don't know, whatever. Fuck, it doesn't matter. They had a toy section too, but it was this one little section of the mall, and in my head, I'll walk that one little section. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look anything like that now. The floor is different, like the tech, you know what I mean? The stone is different, like the little layout, the faux brick or whatever is different, but every now and then I'll walk that. The place when you said that, where my head was going, there's this one particular, I'll use the word intersection, in Baltimore City, where the events that transpired there, I think I'm going to talk about it later on this month on a podcast, but changed my life forever. Yeah, that one. And whenever just recently going to the graffiti building, I drove past that corner and I get the fucking shivers. I get almost like PTSD of a sort. I'm just like, fuck. I get anxious and I get irritated and antsy and and it's just being in the area, But that's where my head went when you said haunted by a place. That's the thing that instantly popped in my head.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
But what's your earliest memory? What's the earliest thing you can remember?
So it's it sounds unbelievable, but I think I was about 3, and I was in my dad's girlfriend's house, and I was putting rings on that stick. They were different sizes and colored rings.
Donut kind of rings.
Yep. And I was just and I kept fucking up these 2, not the bottom one, but it was 2 in the middle. And I kept fucking it up and fixing it. It's my earliest memory.
Mine is also toy related. It's I'm guessing it would have been my 3rd birthday. This was back when, I'm kind of long in the tooth, Bobby.
I've heard that.
So this would have been pre-80. It would have been, I guess, it's
baby teeth.
79, right? I had gotten for, I think it was my birthday, a truck, a farm truck with a trailer, had some cows, and the truck had these railings on it, side railings like you'd see on a truck, that were made of metal, and my dad took them off because they probably would have cut me.
Right.
And I was upset about that. That's why I'm probably an insane completist now, but that's my earliest memory. It's very strange.
Do you have a childhood memory that you're ashamed of?
I remember in the first grade, I wiped a booger on some blocks, and this girl that was playing with us, and she's like, "Ew, a booger!" I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty gross." And her name was Kim Westfall, and I don't know why the fuck I remember that.
I have this one.
That's the first thing that came to mind. I'm sure there's other things.
I have this one that like I think about probably once a quarter.
Yeah.
And my dad picked me up from baseball practice, and I'd wanted this puzzle.
That was in first grade, by the way.
And mine was probably around that time. But
you'd wanted a puzzle.
I'd wanted a puzzle.
I don't know if I've ever longed for a puzzle before.
Yeah. It was just like it was a Donald Duck and Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I liked the layout of it. I wanted to do the puzzle. And so I told my dad I wanted this puzzle, this Disney puzzle. So like I had like my dad would sit around for practice, but then I was playing well, and he ran over to the store and bought this puzzle. And he came back and then stayed for the rest of practice. And I got in the car, and he handed me this bag, and I reached in the bag, I pulled it out, so to speak, and I was like, "This isn't it." And he snatched it from out of my hands, threw it in the bag, threw it in the back of the car, and said, "You'll never get another thing from me when you're ungrateful."
Oh, wow.
And to this day, when I think about it, I feel about 2 inches tall.
I have a similar memory. And I remember, I don't know how old I was. We were at my grandparents' house, which they lived in they probably talked about this before. They owned a skeet shooting club.
I like the sound of it.
Up on top of a mountain.
Uh-huh.
And the house was like it was high beam ceilings, all wood. It was very lodgy.
Right.
And I don't know why in the world, I wanted a Mighty Mouse sleeping bag is what I had asked for.
Uh-huh.
And I got one with a sailboat on it. And I remember getting upset, and apparently was enough upset where people were like, "It's okay, we'll get the right one." And I didn't think about that. I'm like, God damn.
I didn't deserve the right one.
Fucking idiot. I didn't deserve anything. Yeah. Of course, that's who knows if your dad even has any recollection of that happening.
Yeah.
Or my grandparents, rest their souls, would remember.
Well, and I mean that is kind of in some ways it's the key to parenting is in some ways, not to make you feel guilty forever, but to have an impact on you where you learn a lesson that sticks with you for the rest of your life and shapes who you are in a positive way.
Yeah. Don't wipe boogers on blocks.
Don't wipe.
It was a big old wet booger too, and I just wiped it on the block. And the girl's like, "Oh my God, a booger!" I'm like, where did they come from?
Being grateful for shit and appreciating shit, like like that was something that was made clear to me. All right, so here it is. I was just sent it. The Governor Justice COVID-19 conference F-bomb for West Virginia.
That are allowed to open to do so only if they can follow the guidelines to keep West Virginians safe.
Wait, what? I didn't catch it.
So, hold on. Here it is.
Encourage all businesses that are allowed to. Again, I encourage all businesses that are allowed to open to do so only if they can follow the guidelines to keep West Virginians safe.
Now, he sent me a text afterward that said, "I cannot confirm that this has not been altered. I watched the full conference, and it's in there."
Okay. Yeah, because that doesn't. It's just like a little blip.
I
didn't even catch it. I didn't even catch it. You're talking about these memories. I remember.
They fucking follow.
Fucking follow the rule. I had gone kindergarten down. We lived in Florida at the time. Alligators and alligator shit, Newports, whatever. Everything about that. And we moved to Tullahoma, Tennessee. And it's where
you're from.
No, I'm not. Fond memories of Tullahoma, but nonetheless, I remember I was first grade. I was new at the school, and I was leaning back in my chair, and I fell.
You were that kid.
Hang on, it gets better. The entire classroom in unison said 5 minutes. Had no idea what it meant, but it meant if you had fallen in your chair, you had to sit out 5 minutes of recess.
Really?
But I was like, what? Why are you saying 5? And I had no idea. It was just, it was very startling.
I know a guy who is like if I were to tell you, like, hey man, I'm getting ready to check this outlet. Would you mind going upstairs and flipping the breaker to the basement? What would you do?
I would say, yeah, man, I'll go do that for you.
And then you would go do it?
Yeah.
I'd come back down? Maybe?
I'd probably say, do you want me to just hang around?
Or maybe stand up and maybe do either one of those things. He would go up, flip the breaker. He would come back in, make it to about the kitchen, go back to it to double check that he flipped the breaker, come back in, make it to about the basement, and I would say, we good? And he was like, yeah, 1 second, and then he would run back
to
up
double
and check
check
a third time to make sure that he had flipped the breaker. And I'd always said that he was that kid that leaned back in his chair, and when the teacher said, we had a kid one year that leaned back and fell and busted his head open, that he was that kid.
Yeah.
That anything bad that could happen to him did happen to him.
Now, I'll tell you, that never happened to me again, because I knew then I didn't want everybody yelling 5 minutes. It was enough of an embarrassment that everybody turns and looks at you.
My wife has a keen memory of me in 5th grade of...
That's crazy to me that you guys have known each other that long.
I had a messy desk, and my 5th grade teacher lost her shit and like flipped my desk over in front of the entire fucking pod, as it were. Like, so not just my class, but the other 2 teachers that had classes, and like screaming at me about not being able to keep a clean workspace. And like, I mean, the whole grade just watching this woman flip my desk over and yell at me. And my wife remembers it like it was yesterday. When we first started dating, she was like, do you remember a time when Mrs. Green flipped it? And I was like, well, 100% I remember that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. Wild stuff. Yeah, and it's funny, man. Like, you don't remember things, and people say, you remember this? And then they're just like, shoop.
Yeah.
Come right to the front.
And sometimes, like, and I have a handful of those moments, like the appreciative moment, and I have a handful of other moments like that where as soon as I think about it, I start getting hot inside and fucking like, God, what the fuck was wrong with you? Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
You fucking idiot. But yeah. Is that him?
Yeah, man.
So Mandalorian. What do you give this week's episode out of 10?
Probably a 7.5.
So I give it a 7. So we're pretty on par there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the good.
I don't know how to say the good. The good is there wasn't really a MacGuffin to chase this week. Although
fair.
I guess the rock itself and getting there was somewhat of a MacGuffin.
I feel like now getting a better idea watching this season, making it into almost the last couple episodes. Looking at it as a whole, they are really working on the relationship between those two. Between Yoda and the Mandalorian, which is nice in some way to tie him to something.
Excuse me, it's Grogu.
Oh yeah, you're right, Grogu. I like that they brought back the sniper because I like her in general. And outside of that, I don't know if I mean, it's not a bad episode. I just didn't like. So let's just go to the bad. I fucking am not interested in Boba Fett at all.
Okay,
0 interest. Don't give a shit. If I were to give a shit in any capacity, it would be just a Boba Fett spinoff and tell his story, and I'll watch that.
Yeah.
I don't need his ingredient in this sauce. This sauce has got enough ingredients going on that I want to see kind of cooked thoroughly, and I'm not getting them cooked thoroughly. And now I got Boba Fett wandering around with a gaffy stick doing kung fu in the middle of the fucking desert.
Right. I think maybe the bad is that these people have now tagged. They're all teamed up. And if it's formulaic like the first season, there's going to be a whole bunch of people at the end that are all... And they blew up the fucking ship.
Yeah, so that was my ugly, but
which I have things to show you.
I mean, there's all sorts of memes.
Well, these are all Brian Brink creations. So
HasLab orders can still be canceled up to December 10th, and it has the Razor Crest.
This one's kind of hard to see. It's little, but it's...
So this one is it's them sitting around talking about it, and Kathy Kennedy says, "Do you guys see the next HasLab? Did you guys see the next HasLab project?" And Filoni says, "No, what is it?" And then they're both turned into the
Leonardo laughing
after the Razor Crest.
And then my favorite is where'd it go?
Are you all right? What's wrong? I felt a great disturbance in the force, as if 28,742 voices cried out in terror. And that's how many backers there were of the Razor Crest.
Brian Brink, being the analytical person he is,
Yes.
I think he said almost 500 people had
Canceled.
orders had been canceled.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's fascinating.
I don't know if I ended up ordering that.
Did you really? So, perfect. I wanted to ask this. Do you feel compelled at all to cancel?
No, not at all.
See, that's the thing. I don't think I would either if I was in love with it, if I would backed it and I loved, like, it was a Batmobile kind of relationship.
Right.
Batmobile is not a bad example, right? Like, the Batmobile is blown up in the second Batman movie, but let's say there was no Batman Begins. If I bought that Batmobile, I wouldn't feel a way about it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. What do you take the jelly out of my donut or whatever people say? Like, it doesn't do that for me.
Lick the red off your sucker.
Yes, I believe that's yours.
Getting the jelly out of a donut would be challenging.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it sucks for those. I mean, it sucks for the people that feel that way, though.
Yeah. The ugly.
So, do you think? You have Plan A or Plan B, so to speak.
You watch Plan B down with the Four Loko. I know that.
Mandalorian, IG-11, Carl Weathers, and Gina Carano. Mandalorian, that's Plan A.
Yeah.
Plan B is Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and Sniper Lady. What's your favorite crew there?
The first one.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And that's my ugly, is that, like, I do think that, like, they're missing the forest from the trees. And I worry how much of it becomes financially motivated instead of creatively motivated.
Right.
Boba Fett is a cash cow. He's another one of those cash cow characters. And
Sure.
I won't lie, it felt good to see him back in the armor. I like the armor robe combo. Kind of worked for me.
I saw somebody took a Darth Maul figure and slapped the armor on it. It's like, well, it works.
Yeah.
It's a little drapey shit. Yeah.
So, like, I dig that. I just I don't know, that acting still seems really shitty to me in most of this, and I don't need Boba Fett in this. This shit's already kind of complicated with a lot of moving pieces.
What do you think about the story they told about how that Jango was a foundling? Are you okay with that?
So I am.
Telling of the story.
I know people are all bent out of shape about it.
Right.
That George Lucas never intended them to be Mandalorians. Well, let me tell you something. George Lucas didn't have a whole lot of intentions for Mandalorians at all.
Yeah, he's like, put him in some armor. Put him in some armor.
Yeah, he doesn't. I think sometimes people think that he creates that way, where everything, like in the Tolkien way, when Tolkien designs a world, like, the languages are fleshed out, every little history and culture and nuance is fleshed out. George Lucas is not that at all. He's like, I don't know, make him a praying mantis and stick him in the fucking corner.
That's right. Like, can we have a lobster guy that knows how to be a tactical leader?
Exactly. So, like, I kind of, to me, I'll be honest with you, to me, it makes Jango and Boba cooler.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, it makes more sense, especially, and I would assume that the whole Jango being a foundling idea didn't come till no one had thought of that until, like, well, this Mandalorian's a foundling. We can shoehorn it in like that.
And the question is also, like, I think there's still a debate to be had there as to whether or not that makes Boba a Mandalorian, since he is a clone. Like, what are the cultural rules to that?
Who knows?
Like, and I'm good with all that. Like, I'm good with, like, throwing that around the bingo drum.
How many years after the fall of the Empire?
I think
does
it's
this
4.
Take place.
I think it's 4, but I'd have to refresh my memory
because it's so. And me watching Rebels is not helping the timeline because I keep having to remind myself when this is taking place. Because it seems like stuff from there has affected, the Mandalorian, which I guess that story is, I don't know, 30 years. How far from, like, the end of the Clone Wars?
Oh, is Rebels?
No. I know Rebels is in between 3 and
yes.
4. What's that gap? Is that 20 years in there?
I think it's 19 years.
19, yeah.
Because I think Luke
it's
is
19 BBY. Yeah. That's what it is. Okay. Yeah. So, and then however long, excuse me, time frame wise that is. So. I mean, I guess he could have wandered around in the desert for 4 years. But, okay, Boba said, the armor that you got from Cobb Vanth. Well, if you knew where it was, why the fuck didn't you just go get it?
Yeah, that's another.
Why didn't you go get it? I mean, what maybe you respected what he was doing with it, so you let him have it.
It's just like it's. I think that a lot of the writing is it's not meant to be scrutinized.
I think you're right. I think it's supposed to be shiny.
Fast food.
Yeah, it is. And listen,
and fast food's enjoyable. You can't have too much. It's unhealthy.
I know.
But it's enjoyable.
I know, Bobby.
It tastes great. You know what I mean? Nobody's ever had a Popeye's chicken sandwich and be like, dog shit. You know what I mean? It tastes fantastic. But you can't have it every day, because it's not good for you.
Right.
And that's pretty much how I feel about The Mandalorian in general, is that like I'm good at I could probably go even further without it, but like I'm good with once a year for 8 weeks.
So what do you think? So the way they're filming this obviously is very interesting with the volume.
100%.
Although now that I know about the volume a little more, it's hard not to see the volume. I try to turn that part of my brain off that overanalyzes things. Like
Now you know that
I can't watch pro wrestling without saying he should have hooked his other arm or whatever, because I know the ins and outs of it. So now I'm like,
now you know what the pig nose looks like in the sausage.
That's right. A big juicy booger. But do you think that this same, and I know you're not crazy about the weekly MacGuffin. I sent you a video I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, on point.
I shared that with my wife, and she said, "Did you send that to Bobby?" I said, "Of course I did."
On point.
Which basically it's
like a TikTok video for those that are listening, and it's like basically a very simplified, exaggerated but accurate portrayal of the formula that they're using for almost each episode.
Yeah, if you want to see it, hit me up. I'll send it to you. But do you think that formula would work with? I mean, we're getting possibly talking about an Ahsoka show.
So I certainly hope not.
Or a Boba Fett show.
Well, so Boba Fett show, I think it would work because but I don't think that Boba Fett needs.
Boba Fett's over making cabinets and shit. Boba Fett woodworks.
I don't think that he needs any depth. I think that Ahsoka needs depth. I think that this Obi-Wan show, I think that it's going to need the depth.
Yeah.
So I worry sometimes about I worry a lot about the direction of Star Wars, and I worry about how much they've allowed outside influence to affect how they do business.
So let's look at it like this. So the cast of Rebels was all unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you've got Vader literally in the first scene of the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was on Disney Kids Network or whatever at the time, so it was very child driven. But the story gets very complicated and very dark, and in some places. Do you think a Star Wars show that did not have anybody, that never connected to anything else, would succeed? But it's in universe. You still have creatures, and
we have somebody writing in about that this week.
Okay,
but I think that I think it could, but I think they have to really focus on character, and I don't think that's been their strong suit.
It hasn't been.
I think that of all the Disney properties, that Star Wars stuff, I feel like I understand Rey and Kylo. I don't know if I would put anybody else in that category. Maybe I feel like I know Cassian and K2. Cassian, K2, Rey, and Kylo, to me, are the characters where I feel like I get them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, well, let's be honest. So, I mean, okay, so Rogue One, you and I agree, is a fantastic film.
100%.
Top 5 Star Wars movie.
100%.
It is essentially, I mean, you got Mon Mothra. That's her name. I just always call it.
I like that, though.
And you get, Jimmy Schmitz is in there, and Leia's daddy.
Yeah,
and
you
get Vader at the end, but other than that,
Leia.
It's all the little nods, but it's essentially unknowns, and it works, So maybe that's a good example of the directions but it does tie directly to an event from the.
We're not sure that it works in a vacuum,
right?
And that's been the complaint with it. But I'm okay with it defying those laws.
Well, I mean, would you watch 8 episodes of Galen Erso's farming adventures? I mean,
Yeah, well,
the struggle of dude, and you could make that captivating. Like,
Yeah, good.
it's raining, can't get the crops, blah blah blah. And I mean, you can build tension with anything.
Yeah.
It's just finding if the Star Wars audience wants to watch that.
There was that comic book that was done in Dark Horse about these like 2 stormtroopers that like can't get right, and they're in Solo. Like they're like you can like see their name badges or something in Solo
really?
at some point.
Okay.
Like it's like Easter egg or something. But like I think that you could do. I think they got to be careful. I think that what Star Wars needs right now is steak. I think that we're getting fast food and we've had some sides, but like I think it needs a steak right now.
Okay.
But after it has another steak established, I think that like. You could wander, and we've talked about this before, but like, give me a gangster movie, give me or give me Rosencrantz and Guildenstern,
Sure,
so to
I mean,
speak, of stormtroopers.
You could, or give me a medical drama set during the Clone Wars.
Yeah, give me a police drama about stormtroopers.
Yeah, give me 3 novels written about the underworld of Coruscant after the fall of the Republic. Coruscant Nights is a great trilogy. Everyone should like to read some books.
But like like if they did like a like there was like a show that was like a live like a reality show. I think they did like a police academy or fire academy or something along those lines. And like they could do something like that was like almost like an Office style thing like stormtroopers getting through the academy and like it can't be the only thing available because then it makes Star Wars a joke. It has to coexist with other shit where you're like, look, sometimes you have some funny, sometimes you have some serious, sometimes you have some adventure, sometimes you have whatever.
Yeah, what you say that reminds me of it's a classic old fan film. I think it's called Troopers, but it's cops, but they're on Tatooine.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they accidentally burn Baru and we're out here every week.
Yeah, people would watch that shit.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And as long as it's in the right spirit, and you could do it like through the Clone Wars era, you could do it. You could do so much you could do with it.
Yeah, I've often said you can. The Star Wars universe is so vast, and there's so much going on. You could make a buddy cop movie. You could do anything.
It's like Star Wars is like Batman in that way, where it's like, you put Batman in a samurai suit. And he's fighting a samurai Joker, and somehow it works.
Right.
And Star Wars is that way where, like, it doesn't matter what genre you want to do within it. As long as you approach it properly, it will mold itself to that.
What would you think about some live-action fiction in the style of I don't think you have them in here, the movie realization figures?
In Star Wars?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You think that's too much?
I think that might be too much. But like an animated thing might work.
Yeah,
and I don't know if they're even really exploring animated to its fullest potential. But, it comes to fear, I think, of that fucking original trilogy, and they are just scared to death to leave that original trilogy alone, and
yeah. I mean, if it still makes money.
Yeah.
And
always will.
I did see a video on YouTube today where they've released some images from the fully immersive hotel experience down at Disney Park. I don't know if you've seen it or not. It looks the guy in the video is like, it looks more like a cruise ship room because it's little,
right?
Which it would be. I mean, and I guess there was some concern on whether or not they're even going to go forward with that based on locking all these people in this building together, breathing all this air, and
that's a good point.
I just thought that was interesting that had come out.
Yeah. I'll say that like the way it's shaping up, and we have 2 more episodes to go, but the way it's shaping up is that overall I will have enjoyed this season episode for episode more than the first season, but I don't know if I will have enjoyed any particular episode from this season as much as I've enjoyed the ones I really enjoyed from the first season.
What do you think about the Mandalorian chuckling when he says Grogu and he goes, huh? And then he goes,
it's like, what? I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the voice acting or what, but like that dude can act better than what he is presenting in this show.
Well, I would imagine Hayden Christensen can act better than.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they say there's another thing that was interesting is Robert Rodriguez did this episode, and he did it kind of on the fly. Somebody else was supposed to do it.
Oh, really?
And then they couldn't do it, I think, because they're working on Obi-Wan. And
Good to hear, I guess.
Yeah, and then so he was like, "Look, I got you. You know,
Yeah.
I'll take care of it." And I definitely got that in some of the fighting scenes and stuff. There's this one somebody sent me. It was like a TikTok video type of thing about Obi-Wan being filmed in Massachusetts.
Really?
And it was like, it's friggin' awesome. Like, it was pretty funny. But yeah, we got a little bit of oh shit. I had an eBay order canceled.
Uh-oh. You won the auction and somebody's canceling it?
Yeah, motherfucker.
That sucks.
It does suck. Let's see.
Just out of curiosity, was it something that you thought you got a great deal on?
No.
Think that's why they're backing out on?
No, I probably got it for about $10 cheaper than the average.
Okay.
But I'll fix that today.
I always loved when I was selling on eBay a lot, and I'd get, sorry, my kid ordered this. Okay.
Well, it's
whatever.
going. I'm still building this DC 1/12 collection, and it's interesting because it's challenging.
Yeah.
And there's like a couple different lines to choose from. And I talked to Instasam, so he was as helpful as he could be, but unfortunately he wasn't of much help because there's not a lot of help to offer.
Right.
It's like, do the essentials line scale with it? Kinda. Do the icons line scale with it? Kinda.
Kinda.
These do, but these don't.
Mm-hmm.
This one does. That one doesn't. These all the arms are a bit too long. These it's just, these little odds and ends. Let's see here. We do have a little bit of news. So I will say Bob Dylan sells his songwriting catalog and Blockbuster deal. I didn't read this.
I didn't know Blockbuster had that kind of money.
Yeah. Well, it says Universal Music purchased his entire songwriting catalog of more than 600 songs and what may be the biggest acquisition.
How many Bob
Dylan
Dylan
it's
songs
not in
can
Blockbuster video?
Dude, I know that. I'm joking.
I thought I was like, what the fuck?
No.
Yeah.
It's using it as a.
Gotcha.
So, how many Bob Dylan songs can you name right now? Yep, me too.
No, times are changing. The another one that springs. You're nobody. Not you're nobody till somebody kills you. That's Biggie. It's you got to serve somebody. And then there's the other song. I'm not a huge Bob Dylan fan, but then there's the other song that I know. I can't think of the title, but he says, either you're busy being born or you're busy dying.
I'm not a fan, but I can't name a single song of his. But if you were 75 years old and had whatever amount of money tied up in a catalog, would you not sell it and hopefully let your family have that and
he sold it to
Universal. Your best buddies.
Dude,
bosoms.
They want to own the world. But yeah, I mean, let's see what they sold it for. Did they say 600 songs? Damn, that's a lot of fucking music. Blowing in the Wind, Times Are Changing, like a Rolling Stone. Everybody knows that one. The price was not disclosed, but is estimated at more than $300 million.
Wow.
Yep. Pretty crazy. I mean, I guess congratulations, Bob Dylan, if that's what you wanted. I don't know. The other thing I haven't read this either, but Monster Hunter was pulled from China.
I actually
cinemas.
read about this.
So it was a racist joke or something that was made, or a joke?
So it was. I don't know the exact joke, but it basically boils down to the translation.
Okay.
Came out offensive.
Okay.
To the point where they decided to pull it and I guess re-edit it, but it was something about being on your knees or something. In the way the article
I like
reads,
where it's headed.
Well,
it says the 10-second scene that has generated an outcry features Asian American rapper / actor MC Jin.
Jin's in that. Good for him.
I battled him.
Wonder if he ever got those cars fixed for Ludacris in Fast and Furious.
So there's also a little rap history information.
He's also a Christian rapper now.
Yes, he is big time. He was involved in a shooting.
This before or after he was on BET? Because
after.
didn't he win like whatever?
Yeah, he
for
won
weeks?
Freestyle Fridays or whatever it
Forever.
was. And got a deal with Rough Riders
Yeah, I
as a
remember
result. Are you familiar with a guy named China Mac?
It might ring a bell, but I can't tell you for sure.
So China Mac is also a Chinese rapper, and basically he's the real deal. He's like a street guy, like grew up in Chinatown, like connected to organized Chinese crime. His father was connected to organized Chinese crime. His father actually snitched, got arrested under federal indictments, snitched on this Chinese gang, and then had to flee the country and basically left him and his mom to fend for themselves.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah. So it's a pretty tragic story, and he's a pretty interesting dude. If you ever watch an interview with him, China Mac, like he's done Vlad, he's done like a number of different people. But he's done some heinous shit, I believe, in his life. But listening to him now talk, it's like a Yoda type. You know what I mean? Like he's smarter than it may appear on the outside, and he's got some real nuggets of wisdom from his experiences. But he has some beef with guys that Jen was rolling around with.
Okay.
And they came into this, I can't remember if there was a club or a restaurant in Chinatown, and basically I think China Mac went to the bathroom and shot him.
Shot Jin?
Shot Jen's buddy.
Oh, okay.
Went to jail for it, the whole bit, and then Jen fled the country.
When was this? Like post Rough Riders?
Yes.
Okay.
Jen fled the country, lived in China, never to return to the States again, I think. And China Mac went to jail, did the bid, the whole bit. And then Jen wrote China Mac in prison and was like, look, I'm a man of God now, I'm this and that. And China Mac got out, and they actually sat together and had a conversation that you can watch on YouTube.
Really?
And kind of patch it up and apologize. And it's always nice to see that, especially this year where so many rappers just get killed left and right.
Is this from this year?
This happened in years past.
Okay.
But anyway, interesting little bit of rap history there. But the 10-second scene, Jin, who at one point riffs to his scene partner, "Look at my knees. What kind of knees are these? Chinese. This is being linked to a racist playground rhyme. Yeah, I remember that. The Japanese,
Japanese. Yeah.
Look at these.
The thing with your eye.
Yeah.
We were horrible children. Jesus.
Yeah. But I mean, like, all right. So, like, here's the thing. And I'm not. Look, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about this movie. I don't give a shit about any of it.
By the way, it does go on to say that video game based movies do a lot better in China than they do in the States.
Well, that's believable.
Yeah.
And it should also go somewhere and say that video game movies just should never be made. But if I'm trying to think of, okay, there's a racist joke, flat out racist joke that is told in Boondock Saints.
It's been years since I've seen that.
So it doesn't really matter what it is, right? But it's told, and it's told basically in an attempt for one guy to save his life. He's like, "Aren't you the funny guy? Fucking tell me a joke." And this is the joke that he goes with, and it appeases kind of the mafioso guy, and they say they're like, now, like, if I'm looking at it as to whether or not this is a good joke that I should tell at my local bar, the answer is absolutely not. But if I'm looking at it to learn more about the characters, like these are the type of people these guys are. This is how they see the world. This is the type of thing that this guy finds funny.
Yeah.
It all kind of paints a picture as to who these people are. Should that, just because it's offensive, should it, you know what I mean? I guess it's like, it's the same thing like what, Chappelle goes through sometimes, and where
I guess it depends if you're using it to build a character.
Right.
I mean, it's still, I don't know, man. It's so hard now to really process things in a manner that's not going to offend somebody, because everything.
And it's exhausting, man. Like, I just feel like there's a time, and like I feel like it's when Mel Gibson said it personally on tape as Mel Gibson to another human being, it's like, all right, let's take notice of this. Right. This is a certain type of behavior from a certain type of individual, and we should judge him accordingly. But like, if it's like something for, it's the same thing. Like to take it out of race for just a minute. I have plenty of songs in my phone right now where they talk about killing police officers.
Yeah.
People of all races, people of all backgrounds, talking about that specific action. And I don't while I disagree that people should just kill police officers.
Fair.
I also can appreciate the artistry of the song and keep it isolated inside of the box of the song.
Right.
It doesn't need to I don't know. I don't want to be in a space where creative people aren't allowed to be creative. And then if you don't like what they're creating, then speak with your wallet, and the checks and balances are going to sort themselves out. But I don't know. It's just it's exhausting.
Well,
to me.
and then if a line's said in a movie, it goes back to this actor is paid to say these lines. You can't fault the actor probably could say, I'm not going to say that, but at the same time, if it's his job to say the words written on the page, then it's the fault of who wrote it and who directed it and who.
Correct.
There's a lot of hands in the pot there.
So here, basically, I don't care because I don't give a shit about the movie. I'm sure it's not good anyway, but for fuck's sake, Jen is casted in it. But I mean, I just, if people are happy, then good for the people. I'm not going to watch it either way.
Right.
And not because of any statement made in it, just because I don't have any.
I can't say I really even knew it existed until I saw it.
No, me neither. It's probably getting more press off of this than fucking anything. The Transformers War for Cybertron trilogy, Earthrise. Mm-hmm. We just watched the trailer.
Right.
Thoughts, comments, courtesies, concerns?
There's a line in there that I think it's Red Alert maybe says, "I'm glad one of us can fly." Yeah, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, it's a nice little inside baseball.
Yeah, kinda. I'm glad. Watching it, I'm like, okay, this all looks familiar. The majority of the characters are G1 characters, but they're putting a new spin on it. They're telling it in a different way, and I think that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Could they remake the 86 movie with these characters? Sure, but I don't want that. I don't want to see that.
My 86 movie is perfect as is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not just like waiting impatiently to watch this, but when it comes out, I'll check it out. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed watching the first set.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't hate it.
I
didn't hate it enough where I'll watch the next one.
Right. No, right. Yeah. Not at all. I won't say that I loved it. I won't say that I fell in love with it. But yeah. It was a fine enough thing to watch for 2 hours.
Yeah. The only thing I wish they had done is had their shit together a little more and released this shit when the toys that accompany it were in the stores, because they're basically a season behind.
Yeah,
and the Kingdom stuff starting to show up, and that'll be, I guess, next year maybe or year after.
Yeah. That is a good point. It does seem like
but maybe that's just not important to them anymore.
They're riding a wave that's more like something in the kiddie pool as opposed to a tidal wave. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I wish the story was stronger. I wish some of the animation was stronger. But I don't think it's bad. Like
right.
in the world of the internet, where it either has to be the fucking greatest thing ever created or the worst piece of shit that ever was fucking created, it's definitely the greatest thing that was ever created.
Yeah.
But I'm not like you said. I'm not excited, but I'll take it as it comes, so to speak. And then our last note for the day, AMC boss slams Warner Media for HBO Max movie premieres, which is another topic I wanted to kind of talk about. But Warner Brothers has announced that they are going to release everything,
17 films,
simultaneously on HBO Max and in theaters. And AMC has recently come out and said, let's see what they said. They wish these coronavirus impact times are uncharted waters for all of us, which is why AMC signed on to a HBO Max exception to customary practices for one film only, Wonder Woman 84, being released by Warner Brothers. However, Warner now hopes to do this for all their 2021 theatrical movies, despite the likelihood that the vaccine is right around the corner. The theater business is expected to recover. Clearly, Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of their profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize its HBO Max startup. Blah, blah, blah. We will aggressively pursue economic terms that preserve our business.
A lot of directors have come out. I know Christopher Nolan was not happy about this. And
Correct.
Several other named people have come out against it as well. And I think their big gripe was they found out about it when you and I found out about it. They weren't told. I mean, if their money gets funny on it, I would definitely, if you had a back-end deal. But then again, you've got a back-end deal based on theatrical release. You're fucked right now anyways.
Yeah, my thing is like, well, so here's, I guess, I'm guessing they just don't want to fucking, like, we've talked about this a bit, like, all their rollout money is gone.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman's rollout money has come and gone. The chips have now moved off of the
Dr. Pepper doesn't
Correct.
have
It's gone.
Cheetah on it anymore.
It's
right?
gone. The whole fucking rollout is over, and they have nothing to show for it.
I saw something the other day for a movie. I was in Walmart. It was on an end cap, and I was like, "What the fuck?" It was something that had come and gone. I don't know. It was some horribly misplaced ad for a movie. I don't remember what it was now.
I'll have to watch that Hot Toys, the one with the wings, like the eagle, because it could be the first time that a Hot Toys figure comes out before the movie.
Dude, wouldn't that be wild?
But like, what I think is interesting about this is just this is history. Mm-hmm. This is going to go one way or the other. But whatever happens as a result of these 17 films is going to change the movie industry forever.
I agree.
So I'm curious to see how the chips fall. I'll tell you, I have an HBO Max subscription, and it would be the last visual DSP subscription that I would cancel. It's the one I enjoy the most.
I don't have that. That's probably one of the only ones I do have. I don't have.
right. It's my first go-to. It's the one I'm most satisfied with. It's a less is more approach, and I find that the quality of content is consistently better than its counterparts.
That's fair.
I'm definitely like, we're gonna watch 84 on Christmas Day, as a family, and I'm looking forward to it, and I hope that it's successful. I do agree with AMC that they, in some way, shape, or form, they have to be saying to themselves, we are okay with sacrificing a certain ratio or percentage of our profitability.
Well, the other thing they have to keep in mind is, I don't know how it breaks down the biggest to smallest theater chains in the country, but Regal went out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our theater we went to, Bobby, is gone.
And I guess HBO or Warner Brothers is asking themselves, is it better to get 30% of 100 than it is to get 0% of 100 for the next year?
Yeah.
Like, there's this argument that goes into this sort of stuff business-wise that, like, none of these fucking companies are making money off of the new entertainment, that it's all keeping them afloat, that, that this deal with Universal and Bob Dylan, this is going to be the deal that generates revenue for Universal. It's not, Pop Smoke or whoever that's making the money. It's Elvis. It's the Beatles. And it's Michael Jackson.
You know what I think more than anything that boils down to? Licensing.
Yeah. Well,
for commercials, for movies,
100%.
I listened to something.
The Office. It's that type of shit.
Yeah. It comes down to, what was I watching? I was watching something, and they were talking about licensing music. You pay by the second.
Really?
To license a song. And what was it? It was, I can't remember what it was, but whatever it is, it's like we used this song, they were dead set, and that was basically our song budget for the whole season. We didn't have any other licensed music because of that one thing.
But like, and if that's what they're doing, and if they looked at it on paper and was like, look, if we put out these 17 movies over the course of 2021, we'll at least maintain the ship.
Yeah.
We may not be in the, what do they call it, in the black, but we're not in the red. What I mean?
You're one or the other.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
they're trying to break even.
Yeah.
And this is and I'll give them credit if their strategy is we're going to do this for 2021 to come out 2022 even where we can hopefully ramp back up to success.
Yeah.
I give them all the credit in the world for having the vision to adapt to change and to build a plan that's successful.
I agree. And I think this is a bigger deal than people know. And I think that this is going to be something that we look back on in 10 years and be like, it was because of that this happened. You know. And then we have a couple questions. We have one on that was sent via Twitter from Passive Bear. He said, what did you think of the Django retcon? So we covered that. Did this week's episode feel like it was a fan film to anyone else? I definitely... Well, see, like, I don't... Yeah, I mean, it has a little bit of fan film vibe for sure. And it's another thing, like, this particular episode and a couple other ones here and there have felt like the sets are super small. You know, and obviously we know how the sausage is made, which we've touched on also, but like... you know, like it wasn't like even in the one with corn on the cob,
Cobb Banff.
Yes. That like, you know, they're in the town and then there's a little town set and then they're in the cave and there's a little cave set and it's a little bit different. Like this is all pretty much at the same location. For the whole thing. I think that adds to the fan film element as well. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, not really. I mean, I see what he's saying. I mean, it was a lot of fan service. You know, the Slave One flying in, and you know, Boba Fett being involved. I want to know how Boba Fett, being a desert person, took what's her name to get robot guts. You know, because she pulls her shirt, she's got all, which looks like Luke's hand.
Yeah.
It's like, where do you go on Tatooine to get that kind of work done? Or they weren't on. Well, maybe he took her off Tatooine.
Maybe he did. He's very talented. He has many skills.
And you know, you talked about you don't care about Boba Fett, and I get that, but the story's interesting. Like, how did he get the slave? You know, he falls in the Sarlacc pit. You would assume somebody's like, oh shit, his ship's still here. You know, he had to get that ship from somebody.
Unless he was tossed out pretty quick.
Maybe.
You know, like that would have been that's a way to try to explain it away that he was tossed. But but then he would have had the ship. Why not just go fucking
And the
place?
Jawas had his armor. So there's a story to tell there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be as easy as look at my chain code. You know, this explains the last 17 years of the story.
And I'm like, that's just that game where the little bar was across the bottom and it was hitting the little
Is that
things.
the Matrix? What is running there?
Next one's from Paul C. He said, this one may need some assistance from Mr. Pinkerton. What would each of you choose as your pro wrestling attire, and what would you call yourself? Pinkerton can give the standard outfit types, but you can deviate if you'd like. Keep in mind that your match can be more elaborate, but if you decide to do that, your march.
March?
I'm guessing. It says keep in mind that your march could be more elaborate, but if you decide to do
Is
that...
it merch, maybe? It's supposed to be merch?
You would need to choose your march, said it again, attire and your ring attire. Oh, I guess
march
to the ring.
So, yeah, okay.
Additionally, what would you call your signature finisher? Bonus points if you also have the move itself in mind.
So I will preface this by saying Raven, who's a retired wrestler with a very sharp mind, once said that you only need 3 things to be successful in wrestling. You need a ring jacket, a catchphrase, and a finishing move.
Okay.
So we can build on that. So outfit types is obviously you get the classic trunks.
Correct.
You get the butcher, which is either it's
the Andre the Giant,
the leotard. Yeah, either double shoulder or single shoulder, or the long tights. And then from there you can get into biker shorts, or you know you can do the baggy kind of basketball style shorts. You can wear wrestling boots, or you can wear like Asics wrestling shoes with kick pads over them.
Oh my goodness!
You get in where you can wear a mask and not a mask.
So obviously I have to wear a mask.
Okay.
I have given this a little bit of thought, but just in the costume department, but I know it's not conventional. But you know what I would want to wear?
What's that?
Coveralls.
That is something that people wear,
like Mike Myers style coveralls.
Yeah. I mean, this is Penta 0M. He has a skull mask.
Yes.
But he also paints his face.
And puts contacts in, which I can tell you I struggle with.
Yeah. So coveralls. So I can think of many people over the years who have wrestled in coveralls.
So I would go with the coveralls, and I think I would probably go with some boots with the coveralls.
So would you wear the coveralls during the match? Or that would just be what you'd wear to the ring, and you'd have them where you could just Velcro them off or snap them off?
I would wear it through the match.
Okay,
Yeah.
through the match. Yeah.
And I think I would have to go skull face or some sort of skull themed thing, and my finishing move would be called the skull fuck. And I'm not sure exactly what it would entail.
Let's think about what that could be. So you could do a really nasty brain buster, which is a stall suplex where you fall back and they basically land on their head.
I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take it.
Through a flaming table?
Yes. Yes, of course. It has to be, I think. And then you can. He said it's an easy way for you because you can just draw from experience.
So I basically ripped off Kevin Nash's entire. So I wore a butcher, double strap butcher, and I had pleather pants with guns on the side of them. And like at the time, the style was this kind of diamond flame thing that you put on the bottom. That's what.
Do you have pictures at all from this era? I'd love to see.
There's some. There's really not a lot because I was the guy running everything.
Right,
so
right,
there was just not a lot of me out there doing stuff. So
I'd love to see him. And then our last one for the day is
and Joe would probably just wrestle naked,
or
he would be lubricated to the max.
Yeah, or he could probably get away with like hooping shorts and his fucking tank top.
Literally what he wears now. Yeah.
Sup nerds, since it's been a few weeks of me trying to play catch up on the episodes, I'll throw a couple questions your way. Also, we did get like I shared the one story, the guy who won an award, or we won an award for most watched podcast of his
Yeah on his.
So yeah, four episodes in one day. I was like, good grief,
strong man, strong.
I was like, I wouldn't do it if I were you. Sup, nerds. Since it's been a few weeks, I'll throw a couple questions your way. Have you ever rediscovered your love for a toy you had as a child? You know, the toy that you made all your childhood memories with that somehow got lost to time. For example, Toy Story is a huge part of my life growing up, and I used to carry my Buzz Lightyear with me around everywhere until I sold him to buy one of those combined VCR DVD players for my room.
Ballin'.
He said, not my smartest investment. Up until about 2 weeks ago, I had forgotten about him until I found 2 1/1 scale movie accurate Buzz action figures at the thrift store. Memories came flooding back, and I bought them both, one for myself and one for my son, who's really taking a liking to Buzz. Looking forward to catching up on shows and hoping you guys are staying safe.
I can remember finding in my parents' attic like my old Transformers and just reconnecting some memories there, but
I can't say rekindle my love.
Yeah. And part of it for me is I've never not done this shit.
Right.
I mean, even when I was in high school and wasn't talking about it, I was still buying toys.
Right.
It might have been 2 or 3 years when I wasn't, but I pretty much have always collected toys of some kind since I was old enough to have money to spend.
Yeah. I think I've had I've connected with my nostalgia sometimes. Every now and then, I'll go through and reorganize the workroom, and I'll come across a bag of old Star Wars figures, and I'll hold them, and I'll be like, "Fuck, man! You held this 40 years ago,
right?
This motherfucker went on more adventures than any toy you have right now. Little shit like that. I'll think about, and sometimes even looking when I got these Black Series carded figures, and just seeing them up there, and and I know this sounds crazy, and I get it, but seeing them up there at that size from my perspective, sitting at this table, it feels like a kid looking up at the toy shelves, seeing them on the pegs at 5 years old. It connects so directly. You
just
with
need
me.
12 of each one.
Yeah. So stuff like that, but I can't say anything else. I wish maybe I did, but I will tell you this. I think I've mentioned this before, but there was a time when I think third party went into a lull, not unlike today, and I was like, I'm going to buy some of this G1 shit that I've lost, that I definitely had, nothing I didn't have, and I would get it, and it had no meaning to me whatsoever. Right, but the ones that I have, I would never get rid of in a million years. I lost a tub of Transformers in moving between houses. I'm missing one complete tote of Transformers.
Yikes.
Yeah, and I can't tell you everything that was in there, but I can tell you my Monster Bots were in there. Ultra Magnus was in there. There's a few that just looking at my shelves, I'm like, fuck, he's missing. So Skylinks, Trypticon.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
some
yeah,
big
yeah.
ones in.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, Bobby. Where would you put a Trypticon now?
Well, I have one.
Okay.
I have my daughter's, but it's not.
Okay.
It's not in a great place. To be fair, it's not.
Gotcha.
It doesn't have prime real estate, so to speak.
And
And that's it. That's it. Sorry, Joe couldn't be here today, but he should return next week.
I did want to mention to all of our faithful listeners, Nerd Rage listeners, Bobby Skullface will be on this Monday. Will be on Enter the Realm at 8:00 live on the Realm of Collectors channel. We're gonna have a good time. I'm not really sure. We were talking about us. What do we need? Because we normally go over a Star Wars movie. There's no movie, so we'll figure it out. We may just have you hang out and talk bullshit, and we look at toys and make fun of people. So
it's been a while, so
because
we didn't do it last year, did we?
Was last year?
Last year was Mandalorian. And
well,
no, it wasn't.
It was last year.
It was fucking episode 9.
It was last Sky.
That's right, and I was on.
You were on. Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Man, it seems like I was having this discussion. Some things about so say that to say this. Some things about last year seem so far away to me. But like, my wife was like, when did I first get you those Norflies? Mm-hmm. And I was like, 2 years ago. And she was like, I think it was last year. I was like, no, 2 years ago. No. But and then like I was like, well, I can tell you because Joe and I did a video for it, and I looked it up, and sure as shit, it was fucking 10 months ago that the video published.
How many videos have you done this year? Do you ever one every day?
So I have for the most part. I didn't have one yesterday, and I won't have one today. I know I didn't have one Sunday or today because I'm just out of shit.
Yeah,
like Star Wars.
Listen, I've got plenty of stuff for you to look at.
That's true. But Star Wars shit has been pretty prolific over the last couple months between like Black Series exclusives, this and exclusives.
Is that stuff doing better for you than it? I mean,
in some ways, like the Mandalorian stuff does well.
Probably depends on when you get it versus.
And that one, like my highest viewed video this year is a Star Wars video.
Really?
But it's so funny, man. It's a fucking algorithm. It's like Black Series failures, which is about like it's not even about like bad figures,
but it's a negative topic.
It's a negative topic regarding Star Wars, and it did like 50,000 views.
I told Mason, I said you should start doing videos on like the worst Pokemon or something like that.
I mean, like it's just, like, especially with Star Wars. But I mean, I think negative shit. My wife said, negative shit just does better. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's been a lot because I've had a lot to do, and but now I'm kind of like it's fucking feast or famine, man. Because I'm like, what do I do next week? Like I gotta after I finish this today, I gotta have put together a video for tomorrow. Like I'm usually a week out.
Yeah.
And I'm not right now. I'm scrambling. So, so if you have any cool Transformer stuff that you want me to take a look at, let me know. Because like that one thing I would like to take a look at, but the non-transforming sound wave, I think 3A did.
Yeah,
like,
I've seen a couple people that have shown that.
And that's something cool. I actually would like to take a look at. But like
yeah,
I'm surprised. I have to hit Robert up. I'm surprised he didn't get it. Maybe he did.
Surprising.
Yeah,
he's too busy putting up Christmas lights.
Yeah. But like this. I don't know. I can tell you. The rat race of this shit for me, next year is probably the last year.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'll stop making content. It'll just be different.
Yeah.
Because like I'm getting tired, and I'm getting like like because this shit's pretty much a full-time job, like a part-time job to me. I was thinking about it. I mean, today, you got here at 9:30. It's coming up on noon, so we're talking 2.5 hours. And then this afternoon, I've got another 3 hours probably. So I mean, that's like 5-hour workday. It's almost a 6-hour workday of and then and it's rinse and repeat tomorrow,
right?
And then it's rinse and repeat Friday, and like so that's 6, 12, 18 hours of work.
Yeah. I did want to ask, boss, what week do we get off for the special?
Christmas
episode?
week.
Okay.
Christmas week. I gotta put it together, but that's on me.
I'm looking forward to listening to that. I always enjoy listening.
Yeah,
to those.
and there's some good parts, man. Like, and that fucking there was one I was listening to, like, because I think I'm going to take a break. Also, like, I think I'm going to draw the line at 270, and then whatever happens from here on out is just
right
in the.
So hold the good jokes.
Yeah. But like, there's still some that like, I'm going back and listening to, and like I'm like, fuck, man, that shit was funny. But yeah, that'll be Christmas.
And I probably won't remember any of it.
Yeah.
Kelly often said, when you were talking about this, because she had gotten a couple weeks behind, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking. I said, you'll have to pull it up and let me listen, and then I might not even remember it then.
Yeah, and like like there's some stuff like that I love. I still like, I super love doing. But like if it's like a toy that I really want to do, like I'm really into it. Other times I'm like, I'll just do this because I have the opportunity to do it. It's almost like a service. It's not like I dread doing it, but I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. I got an hour. But like, like I still like a lot of the Patreon stuff, like the wine and cheese stuff and the music stuff. And then, Dummies is a good time. This is a good time. But I mean, most of it honestly is like, it's more podcast based than video based,
Yep. Times are changing.
Yep. Anyway, shout out to we're pressed for time, and I'm going to eat lunch here. So shout out to the rest of the Cool Table. You can find them on the Facebook page, and they'll let you know who you are. And then for the Nerd Rage team, shout out to Raul on Instagram, Dante on Facebook, Marilyn Phil on Twitter, and handling our notes, Manny behind the scenes, theoretically, and then Andy and Andy helping with the Force stuff, and Esteban, of course.
And with that, tasty tanked.
Tight dick player.